Welcome back to the Longview PD On Air podcast. I'm Michaela Vaughn.
I'm Ladarian Brown.
And our topic this week is National Police Week and May 15th, which is National Peace Officers Memorial Day.
And today this episode is very important because we are going to talk about why is Police Week and Police Officer Memorial Day? Why is this stuff even important? And why is it relevant today? And whom better to have on this episode than the Honorable Maxey Cerliano, the Sheriff of Gregg County. How you doing, Sheriff?
I'm doing well. Thank y'all for having me.
Thanks for coming
on. Yes, sir. So, Sheriff, let's just dive right off into it. We want to tell the folks about what is Police Memorial Week or Police Week. What is this, and why is this even significant?
So we actually talked about it a little bit before we got started today. And so the 87th Congress of the United States of America Joint Resolution approved October the 1st, 1962. Okay. It's to authorize the president to proclaim May the 15th of each year as Peace Officers Memorial Day and a calendar week of each year during which such May 15th occurs as Police Week. And let me just share with you what some of the words were in that document. Whereas the police officers of America have worked devotedly and selflessly on behalf of the people of this nation, regardless of the peril or hazard to themselves, and whereas these officers have safeguarded the lives and property of their fellow Americans, and whereas by the enforcement of our laws, these same officers have given our country internal freedom from fear of the violence and civil disorder that is presently affecting other nations. Whereas these men and women, by their patriotic service and their dedicated efforts, have earned the gratitude of the Republic. Now for be it resolved by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled that the President is authorized and requested to issue proclamations designating May 15th of each year as Peace Officer Memorial Day in honor of the federal, state, and municipal officers who have been killed or disabled in the line of duty, directing the officials of the government to display at half-staff the flag of the United States on all government buildings on such day as provided by the section of the Act of June 22nd, 1942, designating in each year the calendar week during which such May 15th occurs as Police Week, in recognition of the service given by the men and women who night and day stand guard in our midst to protect us through enforcement of our laws and inviting the governments of the states and communities and the people of the United States to observe such day and week with appropriate ceremonies and activities, including the display at half-staff of the flag of the United States of America. The date, October the 1st, 1962, the President, John F. Kennedy.
So this is something that's been around since President Kennedy was in office. That's a great amount of time.
It was a few years ago.
Yes, sir. So what are some of the traditions that are connected to this week nationally that we do?
Well, so there's a National Law Enforcement Memorial in Washington, and this week they have had a memorial service there that was attended by about 30,000 people. And
wow.
That's normally about the number of people that attend annually. And in 2025, there were 109 federal, state, tribal, and local law enforcement officers that died in the line of duty.
Wow.
There were another 254 officers who had died in previous years that their name, along with the 109, were inscribed into the wall and honored this year.
I've actually been to that wall, and it's I guess as being a police officer, it's a weird feeling being there. It's kind of like, we take for granted every single day that we do this job, especially people that's no longer working the streets, right? That at any given point in time, something could have happened for our name to be on that wall. So I'm grateful to all those men and women that have given the ultimate sacrifice. We don't only recognize people nationally, we also do it in the state. I believe a few years ago when you were president of the Texas Sheriff's Association, the honor guard from the sheriff's office, from your office, went and had to do some stuff in Austin. Can you tell us about that?
They did. There are actually 2 law enforcement memorials, or at least 2 that I'm familiar with. One is at the Capitol, and the other is at the Sheriff's Association headquarters building, which is located on Interstate 35, just south of the river. And they have a memorial for sheriffs and deputies and jailers that have died in the line of duty. So I was the president of the Sheriff's Association of Texas in 2013 and 14. So I did have the opportunity to not only take the command staff there, but to actually give the keynote address at that memorial ceremony. And so, you know, some of the words there are some of the information that I researched for that speech, or what we're using today and what I'm talking about. And even though that's been a few years ago, you know, it hasn't changed. It's all about respect. It's about honor, and it's about remembrance of those who came before us and those who made the ultimate sacrifice and never got to return to their families.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we talked a little bit about things nationally during Police Week. Can we talk a little bit about some of the local things that we do?
So we're fortunate in Longview, Gregg County, to have the Centurion Club. And one of the things that the Centurion Club does is they support law enforcement countywide. And so there is an annual banquet that is scheduled. In fact, we just had that Tuesday night. And as part of that banquet, and we changed the format just a little bit, but we also include in that a peace officer memorial for our local fallen officers. There are actually 13 in Gregg County that have been documented as losing their lives in the line of duty, and we do that collectively. And normally we have 400 to 600 people that attend: law enforcement officers, their families, community supporters, elected officials, and they all come together for an awards banquet that night. But as an important part of that, honor those that have lost their lives in the line of duty.
And so part of the memorial service, part of that is the riderless horse. Can you talk about the meaning behind that?
So if you look at the riderless horse, which is a horse that is saddled, it has one boot in one of the stirrups that is placed in a backwards position to designate that the rider of that horse is no longer alive.
Okay.
And that horse is then led by an officer. And as you watch that, and then you listen to the horse and the clicking of the hooves, it really brings to light the meaning that whoever was riding that horse is no longer going to ride again. And that's what it symbolizes.
Mm. We also do the 21 gun salute. And a lot of people really don't know what is the purpose of that.
So, you know, law enforcement is like quasi-military. You know, we have a lot of the same, you know, guidelines, policy, procedure.
Command structure.
Yes, command structure. We're armed. We have tools to work with. We're commonly referred to as the lines between calm and chaos. And so, you know, as it is in the military, that is a significant honor as a 21 gun salute or volley to designate honor for that individual that's fallen.
How does this week look like internally for officers and staff?
Well, so I think that y'all have done much the same thing. We've had awards that we've given to our staff members,
yes,
both officers as well as civilian staff. We've recognized them This week we're doing a hamburger hot dog lunch 2 days for the different shifts that work. Because you have to remember, law enforcement is not an 8 to 5 job.
No.
It's a 24-hour a day, 7 days a week, 365. So, we have to take into consideration to be able to honor all those employees that are working. Then we've got to have more than one lunch or dinner or whatever we're doing.
Right.
And so we had lunch today on the grounds of the courthouse, and we'll serve a different group that's working tomorrow. That's some of the things that we're doing to recognize the sheriff's staff. Are
there any specific local officers whose their legacy still impacts our agencies today? So,
I can tell you that there was a Longview police officer by the name of Randy Davis, and I was a young police officer when he was killed, and he was a friend of mine, and that had quite an impact at the time. Unfortunately, I've had 2 officers that have lost their life in the line of duty since I was elected sheriff. I took office January the 1st, 2001, and on February the 1st, 2001, a young deputy by the name of Vance Clements was killed when he was responding to a call for service, lost control of a vehicle on a curve, hit a tree, and was killed. I can tell you that nothing prepares you for that, because it not only has a personal effect on you, it has an effect on, obviously, the officer's family, but his law enforcement family as well. And yet, while you deal with that grief, there's still responsibilities that you have to deal with and take care of. It's a pretty difficult time, not only for the family, but for the agency.
And so why is it important for newer officers to know that history? Why is it important that we honor those who have lost their lives in the line of duty?
That's a great question. And I think we as law enforcement administrators need to take that job very seriously and impress upon those new officers how important it is to show respect for those that have came before us, for those that have made the ultimate sacrifice, even those that have had a long, distinguished career and retired. We need to make sure to honor those people for the sacrifices that they gave while they provided service and protection to the communities, and particularly the community right here in Longview.
Okay, so moving into kind of looking at the community during Police Week. So why should Police Week matter to the community?
Well, it's a great opportunity to go to an event such as Giants of Law Enforcement. You can interact with your law enforcement officers that serve you. A lot of times people don't interact with law enforcement except on that bad day.
Right.
They're having a bad day, and where they do have the opportunity that they can interact, they can know an officer by name. There's other times during the years that they can do that, but during Police Week, it's important. And we have a lot of businesses and a lot of people in the community that'll come by, and they'll drop off cookies.
Yes.
They'll bring cards signed by multiple people, just as a thank you. And we're thinking about you, and we remember you, and thank you for what you do for us. So I appreciate that, and I respect those that take advantage of that opportunity and do that.
Sheriff, you just told us a little bit earlier that you took office January 1 of 2001.
Yes, sir. That'd be correct.
Now we are in May of 2026. Over the years as sheriff, and you were with Kilgore PD.
Prior to that,
for
yes.
Several years.
22 and a half prior to that, yes.
So over all this time, have you seen the support from the community change?
So a lot of things have changed over the last almost 50 years, but we are very fortunate to live in East Texas. We're very fortunate to live in an area where the whole time that I've been in law enforcement, I feel like the community has supported us. And I think we can all agree that there have been things that have happened across America that hasn't been so. It hasn't been the case. And, Ladarian, I think you'll agree, we have some people that make mistakes, and we have some people that lack the integrity that we should have to be law enforcement officers. And whether or not that's here or somewhere else, it affects all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that we have to strive to overcome that. And we are very blessed to be in an area that is full of support. And I'm going to tell you something that you remember from when we worked together. I always tell the staff, there's never a right time
to do the wrong thing.
Do the wrong thing. That's correct.
Yes.
And you know what? If you set the example and you live your life that way, you do that for the young people, then I think we're headed in the right direction.
I agree. So when we do see these moments when the community show their support, what does that mean? What does it feel like to the officers that's doing the job to have community members show support?
Well, obviously it's humbling, and it's gratifying to know that somebody out there appreciates what you do for them. But let's be frank about the way it is. We're members of the community too.
Absolutely.
Our kids go to the same schools, go to church together, go shopping together, go to Walmart. I mean, all the things that you do in East Texas, police officers they may not be in uniform. They may be in blue jeans, a T-shirt, and have 2 kids, 3 kids with them, but they're there in the community just like those other people are, and we're all just trying to live our life happily and in a safe manner. The other part of that is there's a day that we put on the uniform and hit the road.
True. And honoring sacrifice, you emphasize that those of us that's been in, quote unquote, in the game for a little bit should make it our mission to remind the ones coming in behind us to honor those that came before them. But how does that strengthen relationship between us as law enforcement and the community in which we serve?
So it's incumbent upon us to do that, and particularly if we're law enforcement administrators. Just this week, on Tuesday the 12th, we had 6 new jail staff start. They have 36 hours of classroom and, jail hallway training.
Yes, sir.
Things that we probably didn't provide back in the old days, but we do now. But at 6 o'clock on Tuesday night, we had all 6 of them right here at the banquet so that they could see for themselves what being with other law enforcement officers is like, and watching the memorial service that we went through so that they know from that point forward that it's real. It's not just something you read in a book. It's not just something that we tell you. It's actually real. And so one of the first things we do, I talk to them first, and I give them the mission statement, because we can't really expect new members of the staff to know what to do if we don't tell them what our mission is, right?
Fair.
So we do that, and then I say, who do we work for? We work for the community. We work for the public. That's our job. That's what we do. And so every day that they go out from that first day they work, I hope they remember that, and that they carry out their duties to the best of their ability, and they do it in a professional, courteous manner as they deal with citizens of the public that are sometime, again, having their worst day.
Yes, sir. I know when we were preparing for the banquet, we made a lot of changes this year.
We did.
And you emphasized the memorial piece of it. You did not want that to go away. You said that is something that has to happen. What does never forgotten mean to you?
So, and Ladarian, we talked about this in those meetings, so but just so the public knows, we have tried previously to separate the memorial service from the awards banquet because they serve a little bit different purpose. However, we get the largest number of officers, their families, and the public together on that one night. So I think it's important that we have as many people as we can experience that memorial service so that they will remember that it's about respect, it's about honor, it's about remember.
So how do fallen officers continue to influence the way that departments serve today?
Well, I think that particularly at the sheriff's office, when you walk in the front lobby door of the sheriff's office, and y'all have a memorial down there in the lobby right now for this week. When you walk into our office, we have a memorial wall. We have pictures of the fallen officers up there. We have an honor chair. And for those that don't know what an honor chair is, it's a wooden chair. It has the names of the fallen officers engraved in it. And then it has a blue and black rope across it so that no one can sit in it. And that designates the vacant chair for the lost officers. And every officer that we have walked through the door, every civilian, staff, everybody walks by and sees that memorial, even on their first day of employment or when they go home. And I think that emphasizes to them what the importance is to carry that legacy on for those that made the ultimate sacrifice, that didn't make it home.
I think a lot of people forget sometimes, Sheriff, that some of the training that we have solely started because someone died.
So,
unfortunately.
So, since you have me here and I'm the old guy, so let me assure you, in 1978, we didn't train the way we train today. I'll tell you that my initial training was you go to a scene, you stop and hold. You wait for your backup to get there. You don't enter what we call a hot location, a location where there's gunfire going on or whatever. You wait for your backup. We all know that changed when Columbine happened. And, it's changed today. We all have to, it's mandated training for alert, which is active shooter training. We're all mandated to do that. And actually, we all train together now.
Yes, sir.
So that we know what commands mean. We know what hand signals are. We know what we're supposed to do. And it makes no difference whether you work for the sheriff's office, the police department, the DPS. It makes no difference. We're all training together. We all know what we're supposed to do. But that's a whole different training concept from what it was, 45 years ago.
That makes sense. When we're talking about, Michaela asked, about the fallen officers and their influence still today. What lessons can we learn from the sacrifice? But before you answer that, I want to go back to something you highlighted at the very beginning. I've always thought this week was solely for fallen officers, that we only recognize officers who died. But the original intent of this week that President Kennedy signed, you also used the word disabled. So officers who were injured to the point that they became disabled. I didn't know that. Like I said, I just thought it was solely for fallen officers.
Well, again, over the years of being able to make presentations and speak at events during Police Week, you're able to get some information that, you can put together and research and find what the true intent was back in 1962 when it was actually developed and signed.
So what lessons can we learn from their sacrifice?
Well, so, as we look back over the officers that we've lost, we all try to evaluate what happened. Could we have done something different? Is there a piece of equipment, a safety equipment that we could have provided that would have made a difference? Over the number of years I've been here, we're a lot different from what we used to be in 1978. We issue weapons now. We issue duty gear. We issue ballistic vests. We issue both soft body armor and rifle armor. Our vehicles are better equipped. Our vehicles are better equipped with communication, where not only do they have radios that talk to each other, they actually have computer systems on board. So you can conceivably stop a car and you can have a picture of the driver before you even walk up to the car and what his criminal history is. All things that help you prepare as you make that contact so that you know whether or not you may step into harm's way. And because we have the relationships that we have and we work together, we have a joint SWAT team.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 Bearcat armored vehicles. And, those are things that we didn't have 40 years ago. We only got them in the last 25 years, or really 20 years, as we've worked together, we pooled our resources, and we identify things that we need, safety equipment, so that we can supply that to our officers that are going out and confronting the bad guys on the bad days and taking care of business and putting those bad guys in jail, putting those guys where they need to be, off the street.
Yes, sir.
Keeping the community safe. That's what it's all about. And unfortunately, we learn from things that happen when things go bad, and we learn from that and try to do better.
Yes, sir. So we're reaching the end. So what message would you like listeners to take away from this episode?
So first off, I would think that I would want listeners to know this. When you see a police car driving down the street, police, sheriff, highway patrol, whatever it may be, I want you to remember that man or woman driving that car has a family just like you do. And their expectation is they want to go home safely that night. But they put themselves in harm's way to protect you, to make sure that you and your family have a better way of life. I want the public to think about that and remember that. Also, police officers are there to help. And anytime anybody has a bad day or they have a question or whatever, all they have to do is stop and talk. That's all you have to do. But there's always the opportunity to see an officer somewhere, extend your hand, and say, thank you for your service.
So as we wrap, first of all, Sheriff, thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Absolutely.
Yes, and we want to note, this is the Sheriff's very first podcast.
First ever podcast.
Yeah.
First podcast.
Longview PD on air. As we close, we want to thank everyone for listening. We would also like to thank all of our officers and their families and support personnel that work at police departments and law enforcement. Thank you for your service. Families of officers, thank you for standing by our officers as they support and serve our community. And
please don't forget to subscribe and share the podcast.
Yes.
Like the podcast. Share it with your mama, your
Send
cousins, and
friends.
everybody. We want everybody to start listening to Longview PD on air, so please don't forget to share that with everyone. I firmly believe our ratings are going to be skyrocketing because we had the sheriff this episode.
I agree.
Thank you.
As Police Week comes to a close, we remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice and honor their families, their friends, their fellow officers who carried their legacy forward every single day. Hey, folks, thank you so very much for tuning in. We'll see you next month.
See ya.